Practice test, page 196, part 2.
Now turn to part 2. You will hear an interview on the radio with a man called Franklin Barker, the director of an intensive English language school for foreigners in London. For questions 9 to 18, complete the sentences. You now have 45 seconds to look at part 2.
I know from some of the emails that I've been getting here that some of our listeners tune into our programme because they're studying English and want to improve their language skills. So, on this week's programme, I've invited Franklin Barker, the owner and director of a language school here in London, to ask him some questions about learning English. Thanks for coming, Franklin.
Thank you for having me here.
Let me ask you a question. One thing I've heard so many times is something like, the only way to really learn a language well is spend some time in the country where it is spoken. Is that true?
Well, let's put it this way. The only way to really learn a language well is to actually use it wherever you are. Of course, it's easier to find chances to speak English in the UK than it is in, say, Brazil, for example. But I've met lots of people with excellent English who have spent little or no time in an English-speaking country.
But studying in an English-speaking country is the fastest way to learn English, right?
Not necessarily. It's a great opportunity to learn. But for example, if a student from Spain comes here to study with a large group of other Spanish students, he may speak mostly Spanish after the lessons. And of course, the more Spanish he speaks during his stay here, the less English he will learn.
Good point. Do you think that it's easier to study a foreign language now than it was when we were in school?
Absolutely. I remember many years ago when I was studying German at university, it was so exciting when I could get my hands on a real German newspaper or magazine. Now you can find all you need with the internet.
What kind of things should our foreign listeners be reading?
I think it's good to read a variety of different things. Newspapers, magazines, literature. But I think that what helps the most is to find something that you are interested in and read about it in English. Music, sports, computers, fishing, whatever you like to read about in your own language. Reading something that you find interesting will motivate you to read more. And of course, learn more.
What do you think about online schools?
Just like when you choose a traditional school, you need to do some research about prices, class size, and teacher qualifications before you choose. There are loads of options. Some schools offer private lessons online, and you can often see your teacher with a webcam. But these lessons tend to be expensive. I also know a few American websites that cost several $100s a year, which offer unlimited online group lessons with a live teacher, along with lots of web-based activities. Of course, if you're on a limited budget, you can find grammar, quizzes, vocabulary exercises, that sort of thing on websites that don't cost anything. Just do a web search for present perfect quiz or something like that.
Any advice on studying English at a school abroad?
Do some research before you book anything. Talk to friends who've studied abroad. Get information from the internet. Don't just find out about prices though. Find out about the school location, activities, what the accommodations are like and how far they are from the school. Things like that. If you'd like to study in London, my school offers some of the best courses.
Sorry, Franklin, but you know that we can't allow you to promote your school here.
Oh no, I wasn't going to give the name of my school. Of course, if someone were to do a web search for my name and the word school, it wouldn't be hard to find out where.
Sorry, but we really need to move on to our next guest. Thank you, Franklin.
Barker, that's Franklin Barker. Thank you for inviting me.
Our next guest is someone who has had lots of experience in the field of learning languages. She has lived and worked in over 15 countries, and besides knowing a lot about different languages and countries,